Hello everyone and welcome back to our videos. Today our class it will talk about ground operation of turbine engine. Also we will talk about the dangerous area that you have to avoid it when starting the engine. And after that we will talk about how to start the engine, and at the last what's the meaning of hot start and hang start. The reasons for starting gas turbine engine. The first one, troubleshooting the discrepancy reported by crew. As a maintenance technician, you will often operate a gas turbine engine. For troubleshooting that reported by the flight crew that might require you to operate the engine to attempt to duplicate and analyze the fault. Also, we will operate the engine on ground to check the engine performance following the maintenance or to taxi the aircraft. You will operate the engine to test its performance before and after inspection and maintenance, or to reposition an aircraft by tasking. After we understand the reasons for starting the engine, what are the procedures that I should make it before starting an engine? The procedures for starting and running a gas turbine engine. Before we take the procedures, you must consult the checklist and instruction provided by the aircraft manufacturer. So our checklist must be provided from the aircraft manufacturer. Also, the safety procedure must be taken before engine starting. Now we will gonna talk about the procedures for starting the engine. The first one, turbine engine operation must be conducted in an area is designed for these purposes. So we will not start the engine in a small hangar or near something that will affect the engine. It will be in something like a ramp. That the aircraft should be away from hangar and other equipment. The second one, the parking brake should be set if there no need to move the aircraft. So if we will just start the aircraft and we will not make a taxi for the aircraft, the parking brake should be set on. Number 3, remove the inlet and the exhaust cover. If there is a covering on the inlet and the exhaust, you have to remove it. After that, check the proper level of oil, adequate fuel, and all fluid leak check. Number 5, remove the loose object from the ramp around the engine and any tool or other loose object from the inlet of turbine. You have to remove anything from the inlet. That why? Because the inlet will make suction for them during operation. Number 6, ground support like auxiliary power unit, hydraulic surface, fire extinguisher. They should be away from the aircraft, except fire extinguisher should be available but not near the aircraft in a safe place. Number 8, check the communication between the person in the ground and the cockpit should be clear. The last one, take care from air intake and exhaust during starting. And we have the areas or danger areas that you have to be away during starting the engine. The dangerous area that the ground person must be cautioned when near operating turbojet or turbofan engine, as we see here in this figure. You have to be avoided from the inlet 25 feet. What about the exhaust? From the exhaust during idle power, you have to be 12 feet. But if the power it will be for takeoff, you have to be 30 feet. Engine starting. Before starting a turbine engine, you must consult the run-up checklist and instruction provided by the manufacturer. As we talked before, you have to provide a checklist and the instruction that gave us from the manufacturer. When entering the cockpit, make sure that all switches are off position. When you enter the aircraft, you have to say to all the switches are off. Master switch, landing gear switch in down position. So the master switch and the landing gear, it will be in the down position. Also the generator switch must be off position. Also the fuel lever in the off position. The starting sequence when operating a gas turbine engine, when you will make on for the switches, you have to start with starting, ignition, and after that fuel. Now, what's the meaning of hot start and what's the meaning of hang start and their relation with the engine? The hot start, the ignition occurs when there is an excessively rich fuel or air mixture which causes the exhaust gas temperature to exceed the allowable limit and the turbine may be damaged. That means there is a excessive of air or fuel in the combustion chamber. And when you start the engine, the amount of gas, the amount of fuel and air, it will be excessively, and that will affect on the exhaust gas temperature or the outlet of the combustion chamber. And we will see this video and the effect of hot start. After we see the video of hot start and the effect of hot start, how to minimize the effect of hot start. So to minimize the hot start, the EGT, TIT, ITT gauge, and we know what's the meaning of these abbreviations. The gauges of these EGT, TIT, ITT must monitor during engine starting. If any temperature exceeds the allowable limit, fuel to the engine should be shut off. So if we see the gauges of the EGT and it's raised, so we will cut off the fuel that will goes to the engine. Now hang start. Hang start when the starter cut out too soon, but the engine failed to accelerate or reach idle RPM. When the starting power source failed to provide enough energy to rotate the engine to sufficient speed to the engine, must shut down and investigate. That means the hang start occurs when the engine starts and suddenly it will cut off. So that's have to shut down the engine and have the investigation for the reasons of hang start. We are in Airbus 320 simulator. We will do a hang start simulation during automatic engine start for the engine V2500. We will start the engine 1 automatically. Now ignition start, master lever on, so start valve in line. N2 will start increase now. Oil pressure increase. Here we have to these pages ACAM pages, like the ACAS, but in a Boeing we say ACAS, and the Airbus we will say ACAM. Here we have two primary indication of hang start. You will find that in the rotation of N2, N1 is very lazy. Here N2 is 20%, so it's lazy. And also we will give an indication in our ACAM page. Now we say the fault here in engine number 1 start fault hang start. This indication of a hang start of engine number 1 that show on the ACAM pages.